Hello, welcome back to our podcast, It's Space for Awareness. And today we are talking about fear. There is so much fear going on in the world right now. You cannot open your phone or turn on your TV without receiving any type of negative news. And our nervous system are consistently operating from this state of survival. What can we do about it? What are the causes? Is it even bad to operate from fear? We'll cover it in this podcast.
I'm very excited about this topic because I believe that it is very important these days, especially with the way that technology is moving. The world is changing very fast, and with change comes fear. We know that very well. So I'm excited, Tika, about this. And you?
Yes, I fully agree with you. I feel that when you can take control over your fear, or you can start to get comfortable with fear, or better said, with the unknown, you will have a much better future than if you become the victim of that fear.
Absolutely. And it's so good to mention unknown, because most of fear that comes, of course, unless it is a real physical threat where our organism responds to environment. Most of our mental fears are coming from unknown. Why? Because we have a situation and then our brain starts to create all these scenarios, normally the worst ones, how the situation might go, and then brings out emotion of fear. Now, fear doesn't need to be always negative. We will come to that. But most of the time, the problems that are hunting us and that make us feel really restless and anxious, those are the fears of the unknown, as you say, creating those scenarios. And there can be nothing wrong going on with your life. But those fears make you so anxious and so chaotic within that it disturbs everything in your life. So it's very important to learn how to control fear and understand when it's negative and when it can fuel you actually to achieve your goals and to move forward.
Yeah. So let's start with one question that I have is, are you afraid of the future?
Well, I'm curious about the future. It's a bit different, right? Now, do I feel safe about the future? Let's say safe. No one should feel safe at this point about the future because we don't know with AI what's going on. But is that negative, this not feeling discomfort? No. And I believe that we have a beautiful clip that we can play on it about that. I truly believe that nothing can take away our creative energy. And if you're in tune with the creative energy, you can always find adapting points, how you can navigate through life. So none of us are safe at this point, but if you're in tune with your heart and with your creative energy, you will know how to swim through those disturbed waters. So I don't say that I'm scared of the future. I'm curious about it, but I don't feel comfort of what's going on.
Yeah.
And you?
Yeah, I think what is important that we should unpack is the creative energy and how that relates to working with your heart, and how we can actually take control over our situation by connecting with our heart, connecting with our creative energy, and releasing fear. Because often fear and creative energy, they are not working in harmony with each other. Let's look at the clip that you were referring to, because now I'm pretty curious how you're going to bring this clip into our conversation today.
AI
Yes.
can only know what already exists on the internet.
Yeah. Which is terrifying.
So if it ingests everything you've done
yes.
and tries to be you, it can't be something about you that you invent for yourself tomorrow, because that's not on the internet yet.
Yeah.
So you can stay ahead of AI by continually innovating in ways that AI does not have access to. So you can say, paint me the scene in the style of Van Gogh, and it'll do it. And I say, paint me the scene in the style of no one who has ever been born.
Yeah, so it comes down to AI because that's what everyone is scared of mostly. But Neil said it really well, that creative energy is a source which no one can replace. Your creative power and what can you do out of the field is irreplaceable. So when you're in tune with that and when you know what you're doing and the path you're taking, you are not scared that it will take away your job or the way that it will influence your life. I mean, AI can go wrong, let's be honest, right? But we should not sit there focusing on it, that it will take away our lives or influence us in a bad way. We should focus more on how can I unravel my own creative energy and how can I serve for my own purpose in this changing world. So it's more of a creative approach to the changing world, not based on fear. Because let's be honest, overthinking the worst case scenarios will never help you to grow or move anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's a misconception in general that we have control over our future. Whether you know exactly what your next day is going to look like or not, it still doesn't give you control over how your next day is going to look like. Because the moment that you walk out of the door, something can happen to you. Exactly. So whether it is like AI taking over your job, or whether it's about any type of like war situation that is going on in the world, it can have an impact on our life, but we can only let it impact our life by consistently putting negative thoughts towards that fear.
Exactly.
If we manage to bring ourselves in a state of living where we only send negative thoughts to things that are actually happening in that moment, in this moment, it is much more likely that every day more positive things will happen to you.
Yes, exactly. I believe that fear of your future is the biggest scam of your brain. As you said, that anything can happen. You don't know the future. It's impossible to know what will happen to you. Anything can the next day. So if you worry about things, right, which are not there, it's just to do with your internal dysregulation, and that's where I'm coming to, because most of the fear, it is an internal dysregulation, it's an error of your mind. Most of it. Yes, there are healthy fears sometimes. Let's say I have a serious problem right now. I need to deal with it. Fear comes up. It's a natural, normal emotion. Let's not try to say that, oh, life is only rainbows and butterflies, because it's not. But if there is fear of something and you need to deal with it, or let's say you turn it into fuel. Some people are really scared of failure, right? And failing their path, let's say. And that fear fuels them. There's even scientific researches about how fear can create chemical reactions in your body, improve your attention towards something just because of that state. So there is healthy fear, right? But when it comes to fear that damages your life for no absolute reason, for things that are not actually happening, that's just dysregulation of the mind, which can be improved by mindfulness practices.
Yeah, which kind of mindfulness practice are you referring to in this moment?
Depends. Breathwork is really, really helpful technique for regulating your nervous system. Meditations, movements, mental rehearsals, focusing on gratitude, on different seed emotions. So yes, there are many practices that you can use which are improving your relationship with fear. And what do you believe about this? Do you believe that we can manage fear through managing our body and our reactions?
Yeah, for me, what I feel is that I do not let fear decide my life or the decisions that I make. I kind of use it for me. I do the opposite thing. When I feel I'm out of my comfort zone, I have to make a big decision, and I notice that some negative thoughts are entering into my mind. I sit with myself and I try to regulate my nervous system, which you already referred to, through mindfulness practices such as yoga and breathwork are very helpful. And I tune in, like, am I in a calm state of mind? And then do I still feel this fear? Is it based on reality? Is it based on signs that are shown to me that tell me this is danger? Or is that danger only coming from my internal state? If my internal state is calm and present and those signals are gone, then I can choose to make that uncomfortable decision. And when you do this once and you can see that this actually turned out for something better, then you feel much more confident in the next situation where you're uncomfortable. And then it becomes kind of like exciting to be in that state of uncomfort or discomfort, because it's an opportunity to just trust your inner intuition or your inner feeling that this is the right thing for you to do. So that brings me also in the topic of trust. And I feel that these two things go almost kind of like as polar opposites, like fear and trust or surrender. When we are in fear, don't make a decision. But if you feel I'm in trust and I'm willing to surrender to the events that come after making that decision, and I believe it's always for my highest good, there's actually not much that can go wrong.
Yes, that's really true. That's true. About fear as an emotion, again, I do believe that, as you say, dropping into your body and allowing that fear to come through you, it is very important to allow yourself to sit with the discomfort. Because let's be honest, to trust on your path when you cannot handle fear, it's very hard, because we are creatures of trying to look for better. We're always trying to escape discomfort. If you don't know how to sit with that discomfort, it doesn't matter how much you try to brainwash yourself. Okay, I will trust now. Journey. Okay, now I'll be fine. If you don't know, the fear will kick in and you will run. It's the way that it is. So dropping into the body and seeing that fear is just an emotion. It comes from your brain, from your overthinking. It's fine. It's okay. It doesn't signal you to run. You can actually sit with that fear and then say, okay, it's there. That's fine. And I will choose trust. And I think that, yes, we have another...
Yeah, we have a clip that we can show about this.
Instead of jumping up into your head when something has a hold of you, instead of asking why, just ask, where in my body is this coming from? It's immediately going to answer. It's like, oh, thought you'd never ask. It's right here. It's that lump in your throat that you've been trying to get away with. It's that knot in your stomach you've been trying to get rid of forever. What I then have people do is hug the area that their mind just went to and start breathing up and down this central channel. What begins to happen is their consciousness, instead of moving around this area, starts to feel comfortable moving through the area. And we're actually learning to draw the breath right through the areas that we've been sidestepping, that have been contributing to our long-standing issues, our long-standing things that we avoid, our long-standing triggers or charges that exist in our lives. We start filling in the gaps so that we are more comfortable with more of life as we are intended to be, and because we're taking the distortion out of the field by taking the wobble out of this, really this drive shaft of the whole thing that is this central channel.
Yeah, so she speaks a lot about breathing through the central channel. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on what you think she means by this?
As Morter, she is someone who does bioenergetics and works with energies. What she's referring to is the central energy channel that we have within our bodies. So to breathe in through the tension that's created in our energy system, normally in the chakra system, the main energy centers, which you can feel the pressure in. To breathe through it means to allow yourself to release that emotion. And where does that come to fear? Fear is the same. It's felt in the body, normally within your stomach, chest area. Depends what kind of fear it is, right? So sitting with it, understanding it, breathing through it as referred here, this all helps you to feel comfortable with it. And then you can choose to follow trust and truth, because your nervous system calms down. Okay, it's here. I'm not running nowhere. And in time, when you're not feeling fear, it starts to not be something that disturbs your life. It's just an emotion, same like any other emotion. Anger is an emotion, happiness, joy, anything is an emotion. If you don't play along with it, but learn how to control it and understand it, then it cannot dictate your path. You dictate your own path. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it is important to get comfortable with fear, but it is more important to understand when fear arises and to feel where that fear sits in your body and to alchemize the fear into something that is more positive. For example, trust. Understand that you're in a situation where you haven't been before. It is the unknown. And to trust your inner guidance and then make steps that are resonant with your heart. And if you learn how to trust that heart, like, the potential is unlimited. Like, really, so often we stop ourselves from making the next step in our life and climbing up in our life ladder because of fear. So yeah, it is important. But do you think that sometimes we can actually find positive effects from fear?
Yes. As I mentioned before, there's research made where people had fear, let's say, of failure, and that fear was so big that they became champions. So it depends really how your nervous system reacts, because again, adrenaline, sometimes cortisol and adrenaline can fuel you into a direction, into an action. But it really depends, and it's not unhealthy fear. So there's healthy fear and unhealthy fear. Some people are really fueled by fear, mostly athletes or really people who are targeted on some kind of active goal where it's a challenge for them. And you can hear from famous athletes, they said that I became a champion because I was so afraid to fail. So it's something that can be positive. Is that healthy? I don't know. I don't think that that's healthy. I think that's very unhealthy, but does it do the thing that they want to do? It's done, right? So again, health and success are two very different things. You can have success in what you want, and you can compromise it with your health and with your mental well-being, right? But in that state, if that's your goal, it can be healthy. Living in fear, I don't think it's healthy in any way, simply because it's a survival mode. Our nervous system is in a survival mode. Our heart rate is out of balance. Our mind is out of balance. Our breathing is out of balance. So for an organism to live in fear for a prolonged period of time, it leads to burnout, it leads to anxiety, panic attacks, extreme aggression and agitation, always on the edge, never relaxing. So yeah, I believe that living in fear cannot be healthy in long term.
If someone is chased by a bear, then it's good to be in fear because it makes us run. Yeah. But if you're not being chased by a bear, it's better not to be in fear.
Unless you want to run really fast all your life and be number one.
Yeah, but you will see that later on in your life, because, I mean, your nervous system, it's programmed to live in that way. And that means basically you're breathing fast, your heart is beating fast. And from that state, a lot of diseases are created, and a lot of negative things will show itself in your life. And yeah, what I want to mention here actually is that when negative things show up in your life, it is not to create more of that, but it's for you to understand that that is an opportunity to turn it into something better. So if you are consistently operating in fear and something scary happens to you in your life, if you actually learn how to not react from this survival mode, but you learn to stay calm, breathe into that central channel, or do another practice that brings you into a more calm state of mind, then life will show you repeatedly more of these type of events. Because again here, like everything that happens to you is created by you, by your mind, by your state of being. So if you can master that, to stay calm in moments of threat, it's a very important skill to have.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it comes down to success. And sometimes we choose a path. We choose a path to be really scared of failure or of, I don't know, other people's opinions, and that fuels us. But it's not a good place to live your life. But if that's your choice, that's your choice. That's what you do. Maybe you're very successful in it. But to overcome fear, I still believe that fear comes naturally because the mind of a human being, our nature is to overthink worse because every human's primarily instinct is survival. And whatever happens in your life, you will still spiral into, what if this happens? What if that happens, right? So fear is something that it shows up all the time in life. But as you say, to be the alchemist, to learn how to transform it, first you need to learn how to sit with it, be with it, understand fear, and then you can transform something. You cannot transform something if you don't understand what it is. Yeah. You need to learn the behavior of a wild animal to learn how to tame it, how it thinks, what it does. It's the same with our emotions. But to live in fear, to live with that animal always active in you, that's a hell place to be. It's a hell place. Every morning, imagine waking up, what if I fail? You do stuff, but it's always in this tension, right?
Yeah. And what is important to mention is that sometimes we are in an environment where fear is very natural, but often that fear, it's not even in the mind. Like, let's say you're living in a country where at the moment it's very unsafe, which a lot of people are in this state right now. Often when you speak with those people, in the moment that they were living there, they were not fearful in their mind. They were not even they were operating from a survival mode, but the fear didn't come from the thought. Their body was in fear, but they didn't create, let's say, fearful thoughts. They created more positive thoughts. They thought, I will get out of this one day. Yeah. But often it's the other way around for people that are living in a safe environment. They create fear.
That is such a brilliant point, that when there is actually things happening where you are not safe, your fear is very healthy. That means you find solutions, you look for solutions. Okay, I need to get out of this situation right now. Fixing the solutions, you're trying to, okay, I will stay positive, I'll try to control my breathing, I need to survive. The fear is very healthy here. The biggest prison that we have is the fear in the mind, because it doesn't make any sense. You sit there and your body does not operate the same as it's a real threat. It doesn't operate the same. It operates in stagnation.
Yeah, I agree. There is one more clip that we want to show about this topic, about healthy fears or unhealthy fears. Let's have a look.
The more important to your soul's growth, the stronger the resistance will be.
That's absolutely true. And what I meant by that was that when we conceive an idea for something we want to do, a movie we want to make or a book we want to make, it's not at all like what the fantasy was, oh, I'm really charged up, it's going to be great. What happens is waves of what I call resistance with a capital R start coming off that keyboard or whatever it is to try to stop us from doing it, make us procrastinate, make us, go to the beach, make us, give into distractions. And this is why I always say, if you want to know which one of 3 or 4 projects that you should do the one you're most afraid of, because that fear is a form of resistance with a capital R. And the more important a project is to your soul's evolution, not to your commercial success, but to your own evolution as an artist, the more resistance you will feel to it. So, in other words, the thing that you really should be doing is going to be the hardest and is going to punch you in the face the hardest, which is why so many artists have such a hardcore professional attitude, because they have to have it to be able to kind of stand up to that resistance that's trying to push them away from doing their project, whatever it is.
So what I think is really important for everyone to do is to work on your own inner state and notice when there's negative emotions showing up, whether it's fear, anxiety, to sit with yourself, do the breathing practices or any kind of yoga practice. Put yourself in a more calm state of mind, because when you mastered that and you show to other people like how to master that for themselves. So this might sound a little bit like selfish, to focus on yourself and to trust that other people will do the same. But if everyone will do the same, what is so powerful is that when we are in a group where everyone is operating from trust and positive states of mind, we're creating a coherent field that is so powerful that it can actually make a big change in the entire energetic field of your environment. So if you take ownership over that state of mind, and you can maybe be an example and you can be a leader for other people, it can have a huge impact. And Joe Dispenza is explaining that in this short clip. Let's have a look.
When everybody else is in fear, to show courage. When everybody else is in pain, to show compassion. When everybody else is in anger or hatred, to show love. I mean, I think by nature as human beings, I think we are wired to give, to connect, to commune, to take care of one another, to heal one another, to shine for one another. And our data is so exciting to actually support that theorem.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, and that's very macro and big as well, but also micro in that you're measuring people's daily experience. I think, when I think about families who live together, or couples or partners or whoever you may be, when you're sleeping together, when you're waking up together at the same time, when you're sitting for meals together, when, we've realized and we know that the science shows that your heart rates sync up, like your heartbeats sync up when you're with someone. And I think it's really interesting because I think today in our individualistic world, there's a big desire to do things at our own time, when we want, how we want. But if you're truly trying to build a relationship with someone else or build community, there's so much to be said for doing these basic practices at the same time together, right?
It's really hard to be in community when you're in survival, because survival makes us put our attention on ourselves, right? And I think that when people are not living in survival, when they're out of survival, our nature really is community, is culture, is connection. And it starts with the self, then it starts with our closest relationships, and it builds out from there. And I think that's a healthy model, for the world. I mean, when you're working on yourself and I'm working on myself, and I'm okay with me and you're okay with you, we're going to be okay with everybody, And I think when we're not okay with ourselves, that's when it gets complicated.
Yes, that's really a beautiful way for us to close up our podcast, because it is true that if everyone starts to look into their internal state and live from their heart, we can create a world that is fueled by mindfulness, by right action, right thought, right emotion. And of course, if we have a supportive community, it's a lot easier because the brain, it spirals. If you are strong enough which is really rarely happening. If you're strong enough to say, okay, my environment doesn't matter. Whatever happens, it's only my internal state. Bravo. If you can do it, and if you can always sit with yourself and support yourself, fine. But for most of us, it's a lot easier when we have a supportive community where everyone is working. We are all trying to overcome fear together and change our field around us. Then it can create a very positive impact in the world.
Yeah, and that's also what we want to do with Space for Awareness and creating this beautiful community to bring people together and take control over their mind, their thoughts, their life. So follow us and keep on sharing how you feel, how you are inspired by these type of talks. If you have any ideas of what you want to bring up in the next podcast, leave a comment below. And we are here to receive your messages. We also would love to connect with you on other channels. So follow us on Instagram, on YouTube. And we often, actually on a weekly basis, we post mindfulness practices, so yoga and meditation. Follow this channel and we'll hope to see you in the next video.
Thank you, Tika, very much.
Thank you, Gabriella.
Bye.